When you're kind, truly kind, you're not just offering a smile or a helping hand, you're offering life. Life has a way of exposing things people would rather keep hidden. See, there are individuals walking around carrying wounds, fears, doubts, so deep that they don't want anyone to notice. But the moment you step into their life with kindness, it unsettles them, because your kindness is not just a gesture, it's a reflection of strength, of peace, of confidence. That's exactly what makes their insecurities rise to the surface. Think about it.
If someone is insecure about who they are, your calm presence makes them question why they are always restless. If someone is insecure about their value, your ability to give freely makes them wonder why they can't do the same. If someone is insecure about being loved, your compassion makes them realize how much love they've been denying themselves. That's why some people don't clap for you.
That's why some people roll their eyes at your kindness or talk about you behind your back, because instead of receiving your kindness, they compare themselves to it. They start to measure their life against your light, and instead of being inspired, they feel exposed. Exposure is uncomfortable.
It forces people to face what they don't want to admit, that they feel less than, that they feel small. They don't yet have the strength to live with the same grace.
So their defense mechanism is to push you away, to talk down on you, to convince themselves that your kindness is fake, because it's easier to criticize you than it is to confront themselves. Your kindness doesn't just reveal who you are, it reveals who they are not yet ready to become. Are people in this world who will never admit they admire you. They will never say, "I respect your strength," or "I wish I had your heart." Instead, they will cover their admiration with bitterness. They will disguise their jealousy as hate. See, jealousy doesn't always come dressed in obvious colors. Doesn't always show up with a sneer or a loud accusation. Sometimes it comes in quiet ways, the backhanded compliments, the little jokes at your expense, the way they downplay your kindness as if what you do isn't special, but deep down what they feel is envy. Deep down they see something in you they don't see in themselves. When you're kind, when you're giving, when you walk into a room and people feel safe in your presence, there will be those who notice how others gravitate toward you. They notice the respect, the love, the warmth you receive.
And instead of celebrating that burn with envy, because they can't command the same energy, they don't know how to soften their spirit. So they harden their heart. Jealousy is heavy. It eats at people. It whispers to them, "Why not you? Why don't you have that?
Why can't you shine like that?" And instead of turning those questions inward and growing from them, they project outward. They tell themselves it must be something wrong with you.
They convince themselves that your kindness isn't real, that you must have hidden motives, that you're only pretending, because it's easier for them to tear you down than to build themselves up. So their jealousy wears the mask of hate.
They talk about you not because they truly dislike you, but because they can't stand how much they see in you that they wish existed in them. Your presence makes them feel small. Your light makes their shadows louder. And in their inability to admit they admire you, they choose the easier path. Resentment. One of the hardest truths to accept is that not everyone will understand the heart behind your actions. You can give out of pure love. You can help without expecting anything in return. You can pour your energy into lifting others, and still there will be people who twist your intentions. They look at kindness, and instead of seeing it as a gift, they treat it as a strategy. They start to question, "Why are you being so nice? What do you want from me? What are you trying to gain?" Because in their world, kindness doesn't exist without conditions. They've been used, they've been manipulated, they've been betrayed, so they project those experiences onto you. And that's where the misinterpretation begins. When you open a door for them, they don't see courtside, they see calculation. When you show compassion, they don't feel love, they suspect control. Well, when you show consistency, they don't see authenticity, they assume it's a performance. The tragedy of it all is that their mistrust has nothing to do with you. It comes from wounds. They never heal betrayals. They never released in fears. They never conquered. Your kindness unsettles them because it doesn't fit the script they've written in their minds. They expect people to take, not give. They expect people to wound, not heal. They expect people to act selfishly, not selflessly. So when you step outside of that pattern, when you move differently, when you love without keeping score, it confuses them. It makes them think there must be a catch.
Nobody is just this genuine, and in that confusion, they start to build walls. They back away. They may even attack you with words, rumors, or coldness, all because they can't comprehend that kindness could actually be real. They don't see your love for what it is. They see it as a mask for something darker because that's the only way they can explain it to themselves. So instead of receiving the blessing of your good heart, they misinterpret it as a trick, a tactic, or a weakness. What many people don't realize is that kindness, while beautiful, also stir up opposition.
Not the kind that shouts in your face, not the kind that declares itself openly, but the quiet kind, the hidden kind, because the truth is your kindness has the power to create silent enemies. There are people who will never tell you they have a problem with you.
They'll never confront you directly, instead smile at you in public, but roll their eyes in private. They accept your generosity with their lips, but resent in their hearts, because your kindness doesn't just touch people, it exposes people, it brings out who they really are. See, some individuals are fueled by conflict. They feel powerful when they can outer someone, when they can belittle someone, when they can prove they're on top. But when you meet their coldness with warmth, when you respond to their bitterness with grace, you take away their weapon, you disarm them, and nothing threatens a person more than realizing they cannot control you the way they hope. That's when the silent war begins.
They may never say it aloud, but inside they view your kindness as competition. They interpret your light as a challenge. They start to envy the way people trust you, the way others are drawn to you, the way your presence shifts the energy in the room without you even trying.
And instead of admitting that admiration, nurture or quiet dislike, these silent enemies operate in shadows. They won't openly attack you, but they'll withhold support. They won't tell you directly how they feel, but they'll undermine you when you're not looking. They'll never cheer for you, even when you deserve it, because every act of kindness you show reminds them of what they lack within themselves. The irony of it all is that you never set out to compete with them. You never set out to threaten them.
You were simply being you, offering compassion, extending grace, choosing love, yet in doing so you stirred something deep within them, because some people would rather stay in their bitterness than confront the truth that your kindness makes their excuses look small. Kindness doesn't just heal the people who are ready to receive it, it also irritates the ones who aren't, and in that irritation, silent enemies are born.
There's a reason why your kindness doesn't always reach people the way you intended to, because for some, accepting kindness is not comforting, it's terrifying. It asks them to do something they've spent their whole lives avoiding, becoming vulnerable.
When you show someone genuine care, when you offer them patience, when you stand by them without judgment, forces them to lower their guard, even if only for a moment, and that's exactly what many people fear the most: being seen, being exposed, being reminded of their own fragility. See, some people have built their entire identity around tallness. They tell themselves, I don't need anybody, I don't rely on anyone.
I can't let anyone get too close. They wear their independence like armor, not because they're strong, but because once upon a time someone mishandled their trust, someone took their openness and used it as a whip on someone, made them believe that vulnerability equals weakness. So when you step into their life with kindness, it shakes them. They don't know what to do with it. They start to wonder, why are you treating me this way? What do you see in me? Do I deserve this? And those questions are dangerous to them because they touch the very places they've tried to bury. Their longing to be loved, their hunger to be accepted, need to feel safe with another human being, and instead of embracing your kindness, they resist it. They hide behind sarcasm, behind coldness, behind distance. They push you away, not because they dislike you, but because letting you close would mean tearing down the walls. They've spent years building your kindness. What's cracks in their defenses? Cracks let the light in, and not everyone is ready for that light.
For some people, vulnerability feels like giving up control. It feels like standing unprotected in a world that has only taught them to protect themselves. To receive your kindness would mean admitting they still crave love, that they still long for connection.
Deep down, they are human enough to need, and that truth scares them more than rejection ever could, so they run from kindness. They fight it, they cover it with suspicion or anger, not realizing that what they are really running from is their own reflection. Because your kindness doesn't just offer them comfort, it asks them to face the very part of themselves they are most afraid to reveal. No matter how much good you do, no matter how much love you give, no matter how consistently you show up for people, you cannot control the story they choose to tell about you.
Everyone carries their own perspective, their own pain, own filters through which they interpret the world, and that includes you. You might pour yourself into someone's life with the purest intentions, yet they may still choose to see your actions through the lens of suspicion.
You might extend grace when they don't deserve it, but they could still whisper that you had an agenda. You may forgive without conditions. They may decide you're only doing it to look strong. And here's the reality. The story people tell about you often has more to do with the chapters they haven't healed in themselves than with the truth of who you are. Think about it. If someone has been betrayed, before they will expect betrayal even from the most loyal soul. Someone has been abandoned, they will anticipate abandonment no matter how many times you prove you're staying. Someone has lived a life where kindness was always followed by cruelty. Then your kindness becomes suspicious to them, not because of you, because of the patterns they've known.
And so they rewrite your character in their own narrative. They turn your compassion into manipulation, your strength into arrogance, your generosity into performance. They decide your story for you. You have no power over the choice because people don't see you as you are. They see you as they are. They project their wounds, fears, their insecurities onto your actions. And no matter how loudly you want to shout, "That's not who I am," the truth is you can make them see it differently until they are ready.
And the harder you try to convince them, the more they resist, because when someone has chosen a story about you, it becomes part of their identity, part of how they justify their own emotions. To rewrite it would mean confronting themselves, and not everyone is willing to face that kind of mirror.
So you find yourself misunderstood. You find yourself judged unfairly. You find yourself hated in colors that don't belong to you, and it stings, because you know the depth of your heart. You know the sincerity of your actions.
You know the truth of your spirit, but they've decided to see something else, and you can't reach into their mind and change the script. You can't fight every whisper, correct every lie, or explain away every misinterpretation, because their story about you belongs to them.
No matter how loudly you live your truth, not everyone will choose to hear it. So understand this: you could give the world your heart, still there will be people who turn it away. You could offer love and still be met with hate.
You could move with pure intentions, still be misunderstood, but that should never stop you from being who you are, because at the end of the day their reactions belong to them. Their bitterness, their jealousy, their suspicions, those are reflections of their own wounds, not your worth.
Your job is not to fix their insecurities. Your job is not to rewrite their story. Your job is to stay true to the light inside of you. And the greatest power you can carry is knowing this kindness is not about how people receive you. It's about how you choose to show up in the world. So let them whisper, let them misunderstand, let them hate, because their darkness cannot dim your light unless you let it. Your responsibility is to keep being kind, keep being strong, and keep being real, because in the end, love always outlives hate.